Good morning. Good morning from the side of time. Good morning, Africa. Good morning, fellow countrymen and women. Welcome to the side of time. Duty calls. Duty time. Responsibility calls. Time to be responsible. Beauty calls. We are beautiful people. Arise. The radio man is here. Arise and shine. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. The program is State Affairs. I am Edmund Opilo. At the moment, many have lost faith in Nigeria. I wonder why. To them, a dark cloud covers the land, and this is felt in the misfortunes that come with poverty, unemployment, poor leadership, and unprecedented violence. To these ones, the feeling of joy has taken a long trip to the desert, and their ears have been deafened by the bosom of helplessness. In times like this, the assured way to survival is to sharpen one's wit and not let the mind drift like a whiff of smoke in a dusty atmosphere. By this, one comes up with refreshing ideas for sustainable living. Don't gorge yourself on too much fear of the future. Hey, don't gorge yourself on too much fear of the future. Hold on to today as the light into the future. To be hopeful is to have a plan to live for tomorrow. Hold on to today as the light into the future. To be hopeful is to have a plan to live for tomorrow. Remember, your thoughts determine your feeling. Come. I could as well title today's class Social Justice in the Nigerian Constitution. I can as well choose that title. I can as well choose the title, The PDP Ruptures that Reshaped Nigerian Politics. I can also choose that title. What other title should I be looking at? It is about a theory of power, a theory of men who are instruments in the hands of destiny. Sometimes they cannot help it. Okay, Let's call it strategic implosion theory. We can as well title the class Strategic Implosion Theory. So I've given you 3 titles. You can keep them. Reflect on them. They are the titles of this class. Perhaps they mean the same thing, but in different forms. Welcome to the class of history, politics, and power. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the integrity station. Let's look at the idea of social justice in the Nigerian Constitution. Social justice is about how economic goods and services are distributed to meet the competing desires and demands of the people. It is about the moral principles that guide a system in designing its economic institutions. The core idea of the principle of social justice is common good. The core idea of the principle of social justice is common good. Section 14, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution states that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principles of democracy and social justice. Section 14, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution states that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principles of democracy and social justice, meaning that the primary purpose of government is the security and welfare of the people. Is this the case in Nigeria? That the primary purpose of government is the security and welfare of the people? Remember that Section 14 of the Nigerian Constitution states that the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principles of democracy and social justice. And social justice is about how economic goods and services are distributed to meet the competing desires and demands of the people. Remember, it is the principle that guides a system in designing its economic institutions. Political leaders in Nigeria, in their quest to shortchange the people, violate the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy as prescribed by the Constitution. If you look at Section 15, subsection 5 of the Constitution, it declares that the state shall abolish all corrupt practices and abuse of power. Section 15, subsection 5 of the Constitution declares that the state shall abolish all corrupt practices and abuse of power. Leadership, in violation of this provision, is involved in massive corruption against the interest of the people. The Constitution, in Section 16, subsection 2b, is clear in its declaration. It says that the state should direct its policy towards ensuring that the material resources of the nation are harnessed and distributed as best as possible to serve the common good. Hello. Section 16, subsection 2b of the Nigerian Constitution states that the state should direct its policy towards ensuring that the material resources of the nation are harnessed and distributed as best as possible to serve the common good. In Section 16, subsection 2c, the Constitution insists that the economic system should be run in a manner that permits the concentration of wealth in the hands of few individuals. Section 16, subsection 2c of the Constitution insists that the economic system should not be run in a manner that permits the concentration of wealth in the hands of few individuals. Section 14, subsection 2a declares that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government, through the Constitution, derives all its powers and authority. Section 14, subsection 2a declares that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government, through the Constitution, derives all its powers and authority. This means that the people have the power to make government comply with the letters and spirit of the Constitution. Nigerians are poor because they have failed to enforce the spirit and letter of the Constitution. This is the reason many in government ignore issues that enhance the welfare of the people. This is the reason Nigeria's oil wealth is brazenly mismanaged. How did we turn a land flowing with milk and honey into desolation? How? Uninspiring leaderships have made citizens docile through long persistent exploitation. The minds of some members of the ruling class have become imbued with callousness and contempt towards their fellow countrymen and women. This has resulted in economic strangulation and impoverishment. The people are being brutalized and dehumanized on an utterly infernal scale. The governing blocks will stop at nothing, however odious and hellish, in accomplishing their ends. But redemption has come. O nation, redemption has come. Rejoice, for redemption has come. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Now, remember the PDP ruptures that reshaped Nigerian politics? The PDP ruptures that reshaped Nigerian politics? It is important we study the ruptures, understand the effect, and project into the future. The PDP, to a good extent, has defined the character of the Nigerian state. The party is a lesson in history. The evolution of the PDP and what some have described as the imminent death of the party, it is politics in action. And it is worth studying as a student of power. Power determines everything. It is with power that you can reshape society. There is political power, there is cultural power, there is technological power, there is military power. Whatever power exists is meant to reshape society. Societies that advance are societies dominated by innovative citizens who accumulate powers to themselves by their abilities. In that case, the power in a state is defined by the amount of power citizens allocate to themselves. When majority of citizens embed within themselves flimsy powers, the state will be run by a dominant minority that defines the character of the state, because the dominant minority, though few in number, control the largest power. So, they shape society in their forms. Such a society cannot be democratic, even when it claims to be a democracy. Democracy is defined by a people controlling the dominant power in the state. In this case, the power exists within the dominant majority. Money is power. Religion is power. Media is power. In the case of the PDP, the Fourth Republic takes its image from the character of the dominant powers in the PDP from 1999. However, what is called the PDP is also called Nigeria, because the dominant characters in the PDP are also the dominant characters in Nigeria. They have evolved over time. Now, to comprehend the internal fracturing of a power block is to witness the nature of power and how to preserve it. It is reality. So even sometimes when you get angry with what is going on in the parties, yes, you are entitled to your anger. But your anger exists within your reality. And that reality is that those within the major political powers are the definers of your destiny because you control flimsy power. So they can toss you here and there through prices of goods and services, through deregulation, through regulation. In that case, you operate under their whims. It is your choice. You can accept it, like many of you have already accepted and moved on. There are also others who are saying, we will not accept it. Sometimes you can call them activists. They are also in the political parties. There are internal ruptures where some members of the party will say, no, enough, we will not accept it. So, to understand the internal fracturing of a power block is to witness the nature of power and how to preserve it. When a faction aligns with an external adversary to defeat its own party, it signals that the faction no longer views the party as the vessel of its goals. It means that the faction now see the party as a prison. By handing victory to the other party, the faction forces a realignment of the political spectrum. They sacrifice the party to preserve their ambition. It is realism. It is pragmatism. It is the nature of our politics. It can be redefined by those who have an agenda to redefine it. In that case, they must amass to themselves good enough power to be able to reshape the character of society. Political philosophers like Antonio Gramsci made the point that power is maintained through cultural hegemony. You would ask, what is cultural hegemony? You see, power is maintained through cultural hegemony. Intellectuals in society, traditional rulers in society, powerful religious leaders in society are part of the cultural hegemony. For you to attain power, you must find a way of aligning with these strands of cultural hegemony. They have a role to play. So in that case, that Nigeria is poor and violent is not the fault of the political leadership alone. It is a manifestation of the failure of traditional leadership, religious leadership, business leadership, intellectual leadership. By the time you sum them, it is equal to the nature and character of the state. So for Tinubu to maintain leadership, he must continue to harness the relationships of members of the cultural hegemony. And that is why during elections, you see politicians visiting afars, pastors, visiting business leaders to solicit their support. As they go, negotiations are taking place. The religious leaders are making their own demands. It should be normal. In that case, if the religious leader says, as Sheikh comes to campaign for president, he says, I have about 100,000 members in my congregation. About 80% of them are poor. What do you have for them? And Sheikh presents what he has for them. He now presents to what he has, that this is the way he feels he can go. Can you do this? Sheikh said, okay, let's look at it. I can do 40%, 50%, and they strike a deal. In that case, the religious leader is part of the leadership. He has negotiated. Then, if Sheikh becomes president, he begins to monitor. He hasn't kept to this. He hasn't kept to that. That was what happened in Borno State. Ali Modu Sharif, wanting to be governor of Borno State, was looking for votes. And he knew that one Muhammad had a lot of followers as a religious leader. He went to the Muhammad guy and said, I need your support to win the election. And they strike a deal. Muhammad Yusuf says, if you win, will you implement total Sharia? Ali Modu Sharif makes his own promise. Muhammad Yusuf comes again. If you win, are you going to make one of my members a commissioner? Ali Modu Sharif agrees and they strike a deal. Ali Modu Sharif becomes governor, and Muhammad Yusuf waits to see how he implements the deal. Ali Modu Sharif immediately invites the nominee of Muhammad Yusuf into his cabinet and makes him the commissioner of religious affairs. That ministry was to implement Sharia according to the deal. So Bujifoy is nominated by Muhammad Yusuf, who would later become the leader of Boko Haram. Bujifoy is appointed commissioner in the cabinet to implement Sharia, but Bujifoy is not allowed to work by the governor, Modu Sharif, who does not want to implement full Sharia. Now, the deal has been broken, and the result is Boko Haram, because Muhammad Yusuf and members insisted on enforcing the deal. That we cannot vote for you and you will break the deal. We go to war, and today we have Boko Haram. That is one religious leader who decided to enforce the deal. In that case, to Yusuf, he is protecting the interest of his members. But what do we have today? Terrorism. Now, that is the negative side. the positive side is that, what about if you decided to enforce the deal democratically? So what you see is that instead of enforcing the deal, the governorship candidate goes to the religious leader with money. So there's no deal. He just says, take money and support me. So the religious leader makes no offer. He does not represent the poverty-stricken people in his congregation. So it's just about him. He has collected the money. The business leader has collected the money, or the business leader has contributed money to say, if you win, then I'm going to collect this oil block. That is the deal. These are realism. It is realistic. It is about what you do with the deal. Deals are normal. You should have your interest when a political leader comes to you. You should stand for something. Are you ready to defend it? So when you go out to vote for a political leader, it is a deal. That is what is called the social contract. And when they don't implement it, what do? You move on. You don't insist that it must be implemented. So, when a party fractures, it is often because the hegemonic project has stalled. So they align with the other party, not to lose, but to accelerate the crisis. This act of self-defeat is the expression of political ambition and the purest form of realism. I am not saying imbibe all the ideals in the 48 laws of power, but I'm saying read it to know what the laws are talking about. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I am not saying implement the ideals. I'm saying read it to understand what the ideals are. Law 1, Law 2, Law 3, 4 to 48. What the book does is to expose you to human nature. You know, we always expect that we should be fair to each other. Yes, that is idealism. But naturally, man is selfish. That is why if a gunman runs into a hall, everybody will be running to save their own heads. It is later you realize your friend was there. But there are few who will confront the gunman to save the others. Those are the ones who end up being heroes. They don't scamper like the others. Or when they scamper, they move back and then fight. They are the ones who become heroes. Because they do what others cannot do. They become special. They can even be gods. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Stay tuned. Stay cool. Stay with Splash 105.5 FM. Yes, I was talking about the 48 Laws of Power. Have you read that book? I recommend the book to you. And the one I'm reading at the moment is the 33 Strategies of War. The 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. I'm just looking at some of the analysis offered in the book. The 33 Strategies of War. If you look at the 48 Laws of Power and you look at the 33 Strategies of War, it gives you a clear definition of human nature. It says, declare war on your enemies. He calls this the polarity strategy. Declare war on your enemies. So one thing you would find in this book is that there are enemies around you. So when you go on with the impression that there are enemies around you, wouldn't you become paranoid? Wouldn't you become over-suspicious that you lose your mind? That is why I say be careful when you read books like this. Look at what he said. He said, life is endless battle and conflict, and you cannot fight effectively unless you can identify your enemies. Enemies again. He says, learn to smoke out your enemies. Learn to smoke out your enemies. Another word, enemies. Learn to spot them by the signs and patterns that reveal hostility. So he narrows it, that you should learn to spot them. How do you know your enemies? That you spot them by the signs and patterns that reveal hostility. That means you need to be observant. Then once you have them in your sight, inwardly declare war. Then, once you have them in your sight, inwardly declare war. Your enemies can fill you with purpose and direction. So are you ready to go to war? The power game in a place like Nigeria is warfare. Warfare. So are you ready to go to war? Are you ready to acquire power by going to war? Are you ready to go to war? If you had bad governance in a system, are you ready to go to war to fight bad governance in a system? That is why books like this are critical to understanding human nature, especially when it comes to the game of power. The game of power and understanding human nature. He says, do not fight the last war. What does that mean? Do not fight the last war. So, are you going to fight the first war? I'm just raising these issues as a point of reflections on the Nigerian society. What can we do to regain the land? What can be done to save a poverty-stricken people? What can be done to keep the land viable in the age of poverty? What can be done? These are questions we can answer. Soon I'll open the lines. I'll begin to discuss the issues. I'll open the lines soon, and we'll begin to discuss the issues of the state. The Saturday editions of State Affairs allow for callers to join the discourse. So soon you will join the discourse. And let me hear from you. What I have done is to set the framework. And we'll begin to break it down as we go. And join me to break it down by contributing your ideas of the issues. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Okay, you can join the discussion. I've been able to lay some framework down, which I divided into 3 headings: social justice, rupture, and a theory. So let's begin the discussion. We'll use the PDP as a case study of the power game. So the number to call on WhatsApp is 080 999 18449. That's the number to call to join the discussion. It's about understanding the game of power, the reality of events. Look, I want you to consider this. Reflect on this. The 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene, the first law state. Okay, let's begin to take the calls. So the number to call is 080 999 18449. That's the WhatsApp number to call. He says, declare war on your enemies. Life is endless battle and conflict.
Morning, Edna.
Hello, Ishola Adetuishi.
Yeah, this one is just speaking from Ibadan.
Good to hear your voice.
Good to hear your voice too. I think I like your topic today, which revolves around power. Like I used to tell people that power is not served a la carte. Power is about game. Power is about scheming. Power is about outsmarting each other. However, the end of power to be about bringing the development to the society and humanity in general. If you look at the 2027 game, you see that the politics is getting more tense, and people are trying to form a kind of coalition that will give them power. However, we can see that in every game there will always be a winner and there will always be a loser, so to speak. But I think what should be paramount to every player in this game is to use power to develop the country, to bring about the positive change in the economy, infrastructure, education, and everything. So, and we should also note that the power is not served a la carte. It must be, if need be, can be grabbed. It can be getting through outsmarting each other. So that's my contribution.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Edmund.
Thank you. That is Ishola Adetoishi. He is a political scientist. Look at this. I want to read the first law in the book, The 33 Strategies of War. Perhaps it will give you a picture into the minds of members of the political class, especially in a state that has refused to advance. Robert Greene says that life is endless battle and conflict, and you cannot fight effectively unless you can identify your enemies. Take note of that word, enemies. He says, learn to smoke out your enemies, to spot them by the signs and patterns that reveal hostility. Then, once you have them in your sight, inwardly declare war. Your enemies can fill you with purpose and direction. That means when you know you have enemies coming after you, you are now filled with purpose and direction. In that case, you begin to plan. You begin to strategize. You now say it is war. Remember, I told you some weeks back, it is time to strategize. Don't just sit there and be complaining that some persons have hijacked power and you are not getting anything. You are not getting anything because you are not strategizing as a member of a state working towards democracy. Democracy is a battle. Democracy is not a privilege. I have seen many Nigerians saying, oh, because you have elected a governor, you just sit back and wait so that the governor will do good. It doesn't work that way. You have seen it, it's not working. So we have come to the point where the people will now begin to develop their own strategy to get their own share. It is when you are able to do that that you now have a democracy. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Thank you. So you must strategize. Like members of the political class are strategizing. You can see they are moving from political party to the other, realigning themselves. That is realism. They are strategizing. And you, the voter, you are just there. Say you have voter's card. It doesn't work that way. You have to strategize. You have to strategize so that you get your share. That is why I started this morning with social justice, telling you that the Constitution has empowered you to strategize and get your share so that few persons don't gather the wealth and use them to control you. Democracy becomes powerful when majority have their own share of power. In that case, they can remove who they voted for. In that case, if one is voted for and one is not implementing the promises, they can rise. That is power. That is power. They can threaten fire, and the House of Assembly can impeach the governor. That is what you call people power. There is no people power in Nigeria. That is why the political class is reckless. They know you cannot do anything. When they know you can do something, they will sit up. If you go to a place like New York and you remove the policemen from traffic light and you turn off the traffic light, within 2 minutes there will be chaos. They will behave like animals. There will be chaos. They will struggle. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Edmond.
Your name and where you are calling from?
Ebenezer Oluwaton is my name. I'm calling from Wafun. We're talking about the recklessness of the political class and the way the political class has made everyone to fall under their direction. Little should we not forget that they have played so much on most of our intelligence. Not just this, the people who wants to fight for their rights, are they privy to education? How many people are privileged to study the Constitution to know their constitutional rights? It is high time we empower education as against what our government is focusing on. When the mind of the people are educated, it opens us to know where we are coming from, and where we are heading to. Thank you, Edmund. God bless you.
Thank you. That is why you also have the radio. Everybody cannot read the Constitution. But the radio can also talk about the Constitution to educate you. That is why radio educates.
That is why you also have the radio. Everybody cannot read the Constitution.
Hello, John. Hello, John.
That is why. Everybody cannot read the Constitution.
Hello, good morning.
Bluetooth mode.
Hello.
The question.
You know, like, hello, John. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Nobilo. I'm hearing you.
The ball is in your court, John.
Thank you very much. So each time I listen to your program on Saturdays like this, and every day, my spirit is rejuvenated. Now, if you look at what is happening, now that you know and understand the origin of this insurgency in Nigeria, why can't we not go there and sanitize the place? And the government is aware that this is the origin of this thing. And most of this, hello?
I'm listening. John, stop.
Now, if the government wants to save the masses from these killings that is spreading like wildfire, I think they should go to the origin so that they will be able to nip it at the bud. And by the time you are able to nip it at the bud, whatever that is happening elsewhere will be stamped out. That is my submission this morning. Thank you, Edmond.
Thank you. Hello, good morning. Hello.
It's very easy.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Radioman.
Good to hear your voice.
Thank you, sir. I'm always obliged to listen to your voice and the class that you teach. It gives me more energy to believe sometimes in Nigeria. Mr. Edmond, the political class is taking the Nigerian citizens for a ride. You can see this is the time for graduation ceremony across the world. You can see last week, Wike's daughter graduated in UK. Soludo's daughter graduated in UK, but we have universities in Nigeria. Secondly, you can see that the 5 Eastern governors said they are going to support Tinubu. The question I want to ask the 5 Eastern governors, when they come for a meeting, what exactly do they discuss? Is it difficult for the 5 Eastern governors to come together and contribute $500 million for 5 years or for 2 years to build a railway across the southeastern states, or to revive the old Eastern Railway from Enugu to Port Harcourt? How do we? But it is easy for 5 of them to come together and say the Igbos are going to support Tinubu by 2027. What do they easily discuss? Because to me, the only thing I guess that they discuss is when they get to the 5 Eastern States governors or the political class, the 2 things that they discuss, like the Senate president we said, they saw a senator romancing or robbing the leg of a female in a private jet. And Adam Soshimole also responded that they have a deal, he should not procrastinate. So I believe that is the only thing that they discuss about girlfriend and how much that you have in account. Like Umar, he will tell Wike, you are busy packing money. They don't value us and they don't care about the citizens because it cannot take up to $1 billion, $500 to $2 billion to build a railway across the southeastern state, both underground and overground. But what do we have? Bunch of urchins who don't care, who believe in only road construction, that they will use to siphon money and think about their girlfriends only. It is quite unfortunate that the current leaders that we have now has no direction. You can see how the president was able to absorb Bagabiamila as another thing from a scam that is widely open. Imagine Gajabia Miller being a mayor in London or a mayor in Britain or a mayor somewhere, let's say in Cyprus. They would have stoned him to death by now for such calamity.
All right.
Imagine Buhari being a president in America. They would have chased him away. That means somebody can sit down and use the coat of arms of Nigeria for a scam. It's quite shameful that I'm a Nigerian. God, if I...
All right, I had to cut that collar. Yes, I understand your anger, but we must also be careful about the words we use when we call in. This is public radio. You know, okay, you regret being a Nigerian. I wish you well. But there are also those who don't regret. They want to build it. They want to build it. I think I want to listen to those who want to build it. I'm also choosing what I want to listen to. Because as you say these things, they also hit me, they affect me. I understand your anger. But when we call a radio station, we should guide our words. Because society is a reflection of itself. You know, sometimes we tend to absorb ourselves from the errors that have besieged the Nigerian state. I am saying this morning that we should begin to take responsibility for what Nigeria has become. Because I see that when you call, you always throw fire at somebody in government. But I'm saying that the person in government is misbehaving for years and nothing has happened. It's also because of your failure. That's the point I'm making. So if you have failed to defend democracy, and you are now blaming those who have taken advantage of your failure, and yet you are not taking responsibility, I'm beginning to say no. Nigeria is what it is because Edmond Obilo has failed in checking it. But I believe it can be checked. That is why daily, as a media man, I'm using my own platform to create that change. But we must do it in such a way that we don't throw society into a chaotic scene that we're all beginning to run. There was a time I was asking, I said, what do we do? If you go to this direction, there will be war. You know, when there is war, because I've heard some young persons talk about war. You know, when there is war, like where I'm broadcasting from now, you know, I'm so relaxed. You know, there's fresh air. You see, when there is war, your phone battery will run out within 1 day. And when your phone has no power, when there's no battery, you know your phone is useless. When there is war, you won't find a place to charge it. So in that case, your phone becomes useless. You will abandon it. When there is war, some of you live in mansions. You are forming landlord. When there is war, you will now move to a refugee camp where somebody will be giving you food. And sometimes you might get food once in 2 days. You have PhD. You begin to say, I'm a rich man. What happened to me? All of a sudden, you see that you begin to struggle for food, to fight for food. You begin to see your animalistic instinct. Where there are some who will never do that. Say, never, I can't fight. So they will die of depression. So you see people who die in war. Many of them die of depression, not bullet wounds. And I've been studying wars, and I said war is not an option. That somehow we must strategically reshape society, and we must do it cooperatively, including those in leadership at the moment. So when we are speaking, manage your anger. Even Edmond Obilo, manage your anger. That's the point I'm making. So I won't take more calls for now until I'm sure that you have calmed down. Remember, power is not a permanent possession. Power is a fleeting current. Let's break it down. One question that kept me awake during the campaigns for the 2023 presidential election was who would win the contest. It kept me awake. Was it going to be Peter Obi, Atiku, Tinubu? It kept me awake. At some point, I wasn't sure I wanted to vote for any of the candidates. I wasn't sure because I had my own expectation. So I began to measure which of the candidates meets my own expectations. I have what I want to see in government, not what they tell me. So at the point I was not looking at their manifesto to say, okay, these are, because I have my own list of what I wish for Nigeria. So I began to compare my list with Tinubu's list, Peter Obi, Atiku. So who do I go for? Left to me, the three were not my candidates. But these were the main options. And I wasn't going to sit on the fence. I also know that you cannot have a candidate that sometimes meets all your expectations. So being a realist, I was going to pick. So it kept me awake. I was invested in the question that I had resorted to studying every step of the actors to the extent of investigating their past to predict what their future had for the polity. It is such political excursion that makes human behavior a critical factor for making political predictions. To succeed in interpreting human behavior, to making predictions, is not a foolproof approach, as behavior can be deceptive and leads sometimes to wrong conclusions. However, one can examine political meetings, statements, party structures, media, and public discourses, for example, to make permutations. At the time, I examined political meetings and gang-ups to fathom a meaning of their effects on who becomes Nigeria's president. Of note were the meetings in London in 2022. I took note of the meetings in London. And the main meetings were meetings held with the Wike faction of the PDP. This faction became the darling of all sides of the political spectrum. Leading this group was Nyesom Wike, governor of Rivers State. Prominent in the group were governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, governor of Benue State, Samuel Otom, and governor of Abia State, Okezie Ikpeazu. The governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, was also a key member of the group. They became the G5. The G5. 2 governors from the southeast, 1 governor from the south-south, 1 governor from the north-central. You can call it a southern coalition, because at that point, Samuel Otom was the main critic of the Buhari government due to the activities of terrorist headsmen in the Benue axis. These governors, having demanded that the PDP zoned the presidency to the south in line with the spirit of rotational presidency, lost out in their campaign, and they were subsequently made to go on the offensive by the defeat of their man, Wike, by Atiku Abubakar, in the presidential primary election of the party, the PDP. So it was a fight. I remember speaking with the governor of Oyo State during that time to understand how he was thinking. I needed to make some political predictions. So let's go back into time and listen to Governor Makinde marshalling out the argument that led to a rupture that the PDP is yet to recover from. You are one of the governors saying the presidency must come to the south. Do you insist on that?
Yes. It is obvious where we are. You have 24 years from 1999 till the end of when President Buhari will leave office. 24 years divided into 4 years block. This is what we have. Out of that 24, 8 years was spent by Baba Obasanjo. Right? Now, at the end of this present administration, 8 years will have been spent by President Buhari, leaving 8 years in the middle, right? That 8 years in the middle started in 2007. President Yar'Adua passed on in 2010. And then President Jonathan came in as acting president, and then he became the president in 2010 and spent 5 years. He got elected again in 2011, and spent 4 years for one tenure, spent 1 year from President Yar'Adua's tenure. That is the 8 years in the middle. Now, if you look at it, 8 years of the South, then 8 years of the North. Then 3 years of the North and 5 years of the South. Right? Elementary mathematics for me, 3 out of 4 is 75%. If you spend 75% or you scored 75%, they might as well give you 100%. 0.75, if you need to approximate it, is 1. Elementary mathematics. So, the 8 years in the middle, I will take it that not having spent 75% of the initial 4 years, I'll give it to them. And President Jonathan, he spent another 4 years, so I'll give it to him as well. So let's just say that now we're resetting the button. In 1999, at the beginning of this republic, the South took the first shot. So let the South also take this shot. And when a few of my colleagues say, oh, but in PDP, it's been only 3 years for the North, and the rest of the PDP period, 16 years, was spent by the South. My question is, those people that were elected, were they elected as president of PDP or President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So, will the PDP zone the presidency to the south at the end of this argument?
Well, at the end of this argument, we are insisting that for every part of this country to have a sense of belonging, I mean, this is something that is foundational to PDP. It is in our constitution. And when we were at the NEC meeting, I brought this thing out. I read it to everybody. And I said, look, this is something that is foundational to PDP. And if you go back to the constitutional conference which General Abdulsalami Abubakar set up for towards 1999 transition from military to democratic governance, they actually put a rotation of political offices in the constitution. But that military administration then took it out. But the founding fathers of PDP thought, to have a country where every part of the country feels a sense of belonging, it is better to have it in PDP's constitution. And it is there till today. So why can't PDP, follow its own constitution?
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live. Stay tuned.
Is Wike your man? You're backing him?
Well, Wike is my man, yes. From what I've seen him do in Rivers State, I believe that with the support of everybody, he can be a good president for Nigeria. I mean, I told people, you may not like his style, you may think he's abrasive, all of that, but those are things that we can work on. And in terms of somebody being strong, you can't take that away from him. As a matter of fact, that's what quite a number of people are trying to use against him. And they also tried to use it against me, contesting to be the governor of Oyo State. They said, are we going to be able to control Sheyi, all of this. And I said to them that, look, I'm here to serve the good people of Oyo State. And it's been 3 years now, and I've been proven right, because for Oyo State, we've put the people at the center of everything that we're doing. And people will say that, we don't need strong men as a president of Nigeria. What we need is strong institutions. Okay, good. But if you have a strong man and you have strong institutions, it can only lead us to a better country.
Now that you've talked about the strong man, when I look at Seyi Makinde in that Amotekun uniform, I said, okay, he looks like a strong man.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
I spoke with Seyi Makinde in April 2022, before the PDP presidential primaries. If I ask him now if Wike is his man, I don't know what he would say. So that was the argument, as represented by Seyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State. All effort by the Atiku group to pacify the Seyi Makinde group was fruitless. Even the PDP reconciliation panel set up to resolve the crisis met a brick wall. The August 2022 meeting of members of the panel with Wike in Port Harcourt failed to meet the expectations of both parties. Atiku had worsened the aggression of the Wike group by ignoring admonitions to pick Wike as his running mate after winning the presidential ticket. Once Atiku announced the choice of Ifeanyi Okowa as his running mate, he officially stoked the internal war that stopped him from becoming the president of Nigeria.
My running mate has to be someone who is not afraid to speak his mind and give honest advice and be my side as I work very hard to reverse the destructive impact of the past 7 years of the APC government. In the United States of America, from where we borrowed key aspects of our current presidential system, a running mate is used to balance the ticket, complement the candidate, and after victory, assist the president with governance. Sometimes a candidate is chosen who generates a buzz and adds huge excitement to the campaign. But today in Nigeria, we face huge challenges which leave us little room for drama. We have to win the elections and get to work immediately. The wise men put together by our NWC have gone fishing and brought home an enviable group of awesome politicians that surpasses these qualities. Every one of the recommended persons is a fit and proper individual to hold this office. While this makes me marvel at the bundle of talents that abounds in our party, it also compounded my task of choosing a single person from among them. Let me therefore pay tribute to my party, and most especially to all those that made the short list that must now be narrowed down to a single person. They are all dedicated party men suitable for this task. I wish all the recommended persons could be announced today as my running mates. Unfortunately, only one must be chosen. It is a difficult decision that I am called upon to take, but I'm not afraid of taking difficult decisions. But as someone hoping to lead a complex country such as ours, tough and difficult decisions will remain a part of my everyday life. Let me therefore start this momentous journey with a crucial decision about who among the eminently qualified shortlists will be my running mate. The task of winning the coming elections will be a tough one, and we must not take anything for granted. With the convention behind us, we have arrived at the stage of me to pick a running mate because this is a joint ticket. I am very happy to announce today that I have reached that decision on that. In arriving at the decision, I held wild consultations with various stakeholders in our party, including our governors, National Working Committee, Board of Trustees, and other leaders to seek their inputs and their wisdom. In these consultations, I made clear that my running mate would have the potential to succeed me at a moment's notice. That is, a president in waiting. In other words, the person must have the qualities to be a president. The person must have an appreciation of the deep rot which our country has been put into by the rudderless APC government, understands the great suffering that most of our people are going through and the urgency of relieving them of that suffering, understands the critical importance of economic growth and development to provide our young people with jobs, hope, and a pathway to good living. The person must appreciate the critical importance of education in the development of modern societies, so we can prepare our young people to be able to compete in the increasingly competitive and globalized world. My running mate must understand that without security, development will be very difficult because local and foreign investors who have been scared away already will not return to invest in our economy.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live. Stay tuned. State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
So that is Atiku Abubakar in 2022 announcing Okowa, then governor of Delta State, as his running mate. So you can see the dynamics of Nigerian politics. Atiku's running mate in 2023 is now a member of the APC. Atiku is no longer a member of the PDP. He is now a member of the ADC. Wike is a member of the PDP in the APC. Seyi Makinde is now a member of the APM in the PDP. The politics is evolving, and for you to have a critical role to play, you must find a place for yourself in this polity. As it evolves, you evolve. That is strategizing. Or your strategy should make it evolve in your own interest. You should have your interest as a Democrat. There's nothing wrong in having your own personal interest. Is your interest in the common good? That is the question. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Stay tuned.
State Affairs with Edmond Bilo is live.
So whatever I gave Bola Tinubu, I'm sure it's insignificant. He didn't need it. But it was a way of identifying with a man who has stood by us. And that is why when he now requested that he wanted Itola to be governor, honestly, I didn't just put my mouth in it. I put my body and I put my money in it. So the people now say, Adeyeye, who is he in Osun? Adeyeye was the only man who won election when every other man or woman in the AD, from governor to everybody, failed in the AD. I was the one man standing. 1 year later, they were going to tell me, well, you have to what? He didn't win in his own hometown. I could not win in my hometown. I always told people in my hometown that I know you will not vote for me, but it's the election I will win. Because when I was coming to this planet, God gave me an assurance that it doesn't matter what people here do, I will always prevail. And why was this? My offense was that they had a tussle over some chieftaincy matters. And at that time, I was too leftist to care about chieftaincy matters. So since I didn't join them, when politics came, it was their time to extract their pound of flesh. But thank God, I won. And when they were trying to deride me that he couldn't even win his answer, there are 30 local governments plus one. Mudeke being the extra one we call plus one in Osun. Shola Adeyeye myself, I was the only one in Osun who delivered his local government. Not Raoul did not deliver his own. Adiotu was chairman of the party, did not deliver his own. Afolabi was secretary of the party, did not deliver him. I, Shola Adeyeye, was the only one who delivered my local government in the election. Not just that. Not just that. I was the only one who did not take a penny from Bola Tinubu or Raoul Faregbesola. I was in the House of Rep. Bola Tinubu and Raoul sent money from Lagos. And they gave to everybody. And they did not give to my federal constituency. They said, well, Prof has the money. So I had to bear the expenses of 3 local governments.
Malam Ibrahim Agumbiade, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Edmund.
You are an Islamic scholar. Educate us. What is jihad?
The word jihad simply means strive. Striving in the way of God. From the word jahada, they took the word jihad. Jahada simply means strive. So in the process of this striving, such individual will be open to have reward from Almighty Allah, be it the exact reward that God promised for such striving, or in multiple more than his or her expectation.
So in this case, is it the duty of Muslims to embark on jihad?
Embark on which particular jihad? Because based on the definition I gave now, jihad simply means striving to have reward. And the most reward is paradise. So there is a different type of jihad. We have jihad in nafsi, jihad of art, jihad in mali, jihad of money, jihad fi sabilillah, jihad bi khuruj, the one that you go out to enlighten people. Jihad of money, there's jihad of money. You spend where it's necessary, where people are in need of money. Then jihad of nafs is the one you control your own thoughts. The evil thought that is coming, you strive against such evil thoughts and renew it to what you know to be a good thing, in goodness. So in doing that, those are jihad.
From the Middle East to the Sahel, there are insurgent groups that have been described as Islamic jihadis who are violently taking on government troops, who are killing people on the way. Is that a form of jihad?
No. Those people you are referring to, maybe the Boko Haram, ISIS, the Al-Qaeda.
Yes.
No. This is completely, totally against the doctrine, the message of the Quran and the message of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Completely different. The likes of Shikau, the likes of Al-Hakawi, the mentor of Mutalab, the one who attempted to blow airplane in US.
Yeah.
They all prove to be Muslim, actually. In one way or the other, their creed, their aqidah, their belief is that in doing that, they have reward, multiple reward, countless one from God Almighty. And they are open to enter paradise in fulfilling such a evil work. But there is no evidence of such in the Quran. No connection of that in the Quran. Not even in the tradition of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
But does it bother you that in journalism, such group are being referred to as Islamic jihadists?
If you go through some of my write-up, especially the one I wrote in recent time, is on the paper, it's on the dailies. You will realize that the word Islamic jihad is correct, but attributing it to terrorists is completely wrong. That is what I emphasize on. Mr. Edmond, terrorists on its own, they know nothing about, maybe you are Christian, you are Muslim, you are traditionalist, you are Babalawo. No. They are afterwards. Renew their weaponry, renew their money. When their sponsor refuse to supply them, they know that they have access somewhere through kidnapping, through, terrorizing particular community. These have nothing to do with religion, not even, I won't speak on behalf of Christianity or other religion, but not even in Islam.
But we hear these terrorists when they come, they echo the name of Allah. And we have read that one of their agendas is to create Islamic states in territories they have conquered. What do you think?
You are taking me back to the issue of maybe Usman and Fodio. Those are, I would call that, but in the case of this Boko Haram you are talking about, the Fulani Maludas are attributing terrorists, that's what they call themselves. I would say that it's more political than what we are experiencing, what we know. It's more of politics. The case of Orire here in Ogbomoso, it happens with the lapses of government. Are you saying that the information is not enough? The information is enough for government to act upon before such incidents could occur. I personally and the Grand Imam of Oyo Land, we visited the DSS director some weeks back before these incidents occur, not up to a month before the incident. And part of what we discussed was that there are some things happening in our communities across Oyo State. And how would someone be misquoting Quran and nobody will talk? The likes of this man, what's his name? Alolong. He will come out the last Eid of Ramadan. He came out to slaughter.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
So whatever I gave Bola Tinubu, I'm sure it is insignificant. He didn't need it. But it was a way of identifying with a man who has stood by us. And that is why when he now requested that he wanted Itola to be governor, honestly, I didn't just put my mouth in it. I put my body and I put my money in it. So the people now say, Adeyeye, who is he in Osun? Adeyeye was the only man who won election when every other man or woman in the AD, from governor to everybody, failed in the AD. I was the one man standing. 1 year later, they were going to tell me, well, you have to what? He didn't win in his own hometown. I could not win in my hometown. I always told people in my hometown that I know you will not vote for me, but it's the election I will win. Because when I was coming to this planet, God gave me an assurance that it doesn't matter what you people here do, I will always prevail. And why was this? My offense was that they had a toss over some chieftaincy matters. And at that time, I was too leftist to care about chieftaincy matters. So since I didn't join them, when politics came, it was their time to extract their pound of flesh. But thank God, I won. And when they were trying to deride me, that he couldn't even win his answer. There are 30 local governments plus one. Mudeke being the extra one we call plus one in Osun. Shola Adeyeye myself, I was the only one in Osun who delivered his local government. Not Rahul did not deliver his own. Adeoti was chairman of the party, did not deliver his own. Afolabi was secretary of the party, did not deliver him. I, Shola Adeyeye, was the only one who delivered my local government in the election. Not just that. I was the only one who did not take a penny from Bola Tinubu or Rahul Faregbe-Shola. I was in the House of Rep. Bola Tinubu and Rahul sent money from Lagos. And they gave to everybody. And they did not give to my federal constituency. They said, well, Prof has the money. So I had to bear the expenses of 3 local governments.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
That is a member of the political class bragging about his contribution to the power game. That is Professor Shola Adeyeye. You can also call him Senator Adeyeye. Bragging about his contribution to power. What is your contribution? Members of the political class have a bragging right. What is your bragging right as a citizen? Tell me, why do you always play the victim? You as a citizen, why do you always play the victim? Why are you always a victim? Why have you allowed yourself to be victimized by a system that you are part of? I just said I should bring that to you. That was me speaking with Adeyeye towards the 2023 elections. His voice will come again. Atiku did not pick Wike. Atiku picked Okowa. The Wike group did not accept it. The Wike group demanded that the party national chairman, Iyosha Ayu, stepped down for his role in the primary election. The group also argued that the North dominated the party as the presidential candidate, party chairman, and chairman board of trustees, that they were Northerners. Why the back and forth continued in the PDP towards the 2023 election? The APC and Labour Party seriously wooed the Wike group to their sides. Why the back and forth continued in the PDP? The APC and Labour Party seriously wooed the Wike group to their sides. Remember, on the 8th of July, 2022, 3 APC governors, Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, and Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State, visited Wike in Port Harcourt to woo him. Present at that meeting was Ayodele Fayose, a former governor of Ekiti State and a PDP member. with reports confirming that Tinubu met with Wike Group of the PDP in August in London, the APC showed its interest in worsening the division in the PDP, and the APC did this to its own advantage. Is that not a power game? That you help your enemy destroy itself. You help your enemy destroy itself. Take note of that word, enemy. Enemy. In political game, they call it the enemy. Look at the second law, the second strategies of war. I'm not saying imbibe it. I am saying know it. What most often weighs you down and brings you misery is the past. You must consciously wage war against the past and force yourself to react to the present moment, reality. See, you know why I'm saying you should know this law? If you know it, you begin to understand certain character of the political leadership. Be ruthless with yourself. Do not repeat the same old methods that you have been using since 1999 as a voter. Strategize. Negotiate. You will be surprised what you will get when you negotiate. When a political person comes to you to ask for a vote and you negotiate, you'll be shocked what you will get. Negotiate. Have your own agenda. But let your agenda be in the common good. The second strategy is saying wage guerrilla war on your mind. That for you to leave the level of victimhood, you must wage war on your own mind. It is your thinking that makes you feel you are a victim of a society that you have contributed to its failure in different ways, and yet you feel you are a victim of that system. The Nigerian system mirrors the dominant character of Nigerians. So, you cannot play the victim. When this system is failing, you are not saying you are a victim. There are certain persons, those in leadership, that you have the power to check, and you are not checking them. Then you are not playing the victim. No. You must wage war on that your mindset. Victims don't win. Victims rely on pity. Victims rely on pity. Oh, let them pity us. Oh, I'm begging President Tinubu. I don't beg. I've never begged any leader to do anything. If the leader is not doing what I want him to do, I will be undermining him through my works. I will be undermining him through my words, through my writings. I will fight back. I always fight back. If I support you and you don't do well, you don't keep to the deal, I fight back in my own way. I always fight back. That is why I'm never neutral. I'm never neutral. I don't play neutral. I don't sit on the fence. I like taking a side, even when I'm not too comfortable with it. I take a side. I don't like being neutral. I don't like it. I take a side. I take a side in the interest of the common good. And when you don't keep the deal, I take another side. You must keep the deal. And when you don't keep the deal, I'll make sure you feel me somehow. You must feel me. I will react in my own way. Muhammad Yusuf reacted that you must keep the deal, and it led to terrorism. Modu Sharif entered a deal, like many governors have entered a deal with park managers. People you call members of the NURTW. Someday, a government will come and declare the group also a terrorist organization because of their character in Nigerian politics over time. Over time. But they hide under unionism. But they have consistently terrorized the polity. Oyo State is a case study. Different governors entered deals with them. Auxiliary is back to prison. Perhaps the deal has backfired. Someday we'll talk about it. We'll break it down to see why he went back to prison. If Auxiliary can get his share, why not you? All right, let's open the lines again. Let's open the lines. 080 18449. We are looking at the ruptures in the PDP, using it to explain the game of power. So the WhatsApp number to call is 080 18449. That's the WhatsApp number to call. 080 18449. 449. Hello, good morning.
That's the one.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Am I on?
You are on.
I would like to say thank you. I'm happy we have people like you. But I would like to go straight to the point. One major thing that bothers me in this country is that we don't have a group of people who call the political class to order when they misbehave. There is no one that makes them to shake. That's why most of the time we call people outside to come and help us. Or do we have a group of people who do that? Do we have past presidents or elder statesmen who could call them to order? And the second thing is, I see that we feel our weakness in our bones. Why am I saying that? You've just mentioned people who strike deals. And these guys are bad guys. So you that you know you have no weapon, you can't defend yourself, you want to stand against them, how will you do that? So we feel our own weaknesses. We see that we are not enough when it comes to confronting bad guys. Well, maybe people can switch and start doing spiritual stuff to protect themselves. But one thing I've observed is we feel our weaknesses. And that makes a lot of us to move back. Another thing I would like to say is that when we talk about the bad guys that are in the bush or people who are doing bad stuff for this political class, we discover that we talk about their sponsors too. If you study these people that are troubling our country, you see that they don't work alone. They have young people they recruit. They feed them. They empower them. And they must have done that by setting individuals that will go and observe them in their communities. So about the good guys in our own country. Do they have time for us? Can they do like the bad guys? For instance, economic power is one of the powers that I appreciate so much. Yes, I appreciate the spiritual power too. But you see someone in the community every time, maybe he's trying to run a business to gain an economic freedom or financial freedom. Is there anybody studying him or her to see his kind of vision? Is there anybody doing like those who are recruiting bad guys, sponsoring them, feeding them, making them they become more hardened? to be able to function in the capacity they want them to function in? Do we have good guys with doggedness, with visions that can be shaken to rescue this nation? If we have them, where is their structure? And with time, will they not turn into politics? Will they not throw off the people that they built on the right vision from the start? I'd like to conclude with this. For people who are above 40 years and have never traveled out of this country, I'm sure you have had your own share. One thing is this: if we need each other, we shouldn't leave people to struggle. If we want to build a team, just like these bad guys, because they build their own team within the country and outside of the country. So they are fortified. They have their circle. You can call it maybe a caucus, you can call it a court, you can call it whatever.
Thank you.
But they have their team. So we need people that will also stand and build a team that will help this country.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Hello?
I can hear you. Good morning.
Hello, Edmond. Good morning.
The ball is in your court.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you.
Okay. This is a caller Lori from Apata. I'm always happy when I hear your analysis and your patriotism speech, which always encourage me. I'm a person that always aligns with your thoughts. I do say one thing, and I do say it everywhere I'm in confrontation or discussion with people. Whatever Nigeria is today, we citizens make it the way it is. When I do hear people complaining about leadership, I do ask, those leadership you are talking about, did they fall from heaven? Are they not part of the citizen before they become politicians? We have seen a broadcaster like you that have become a politician among those who are really not today. We have seen teachers, we have seen all walks of life, but still we complain about the leadership. Though a leadership was the one that's supposed to build a system, we're supposed to build the citizen. But the problem I see in Nigeria is, are we as a citizen ready to take to the correction? Do we really trust our leaders? Look at the case of the kidnapping in Oyo. When the government come out to tell us that this is what is happening, do you know the same Nigerians?
Hello. Are you there?
Hello?
All right. The number to call is 080 18449. That's the number to call. 080 18449. Join the discuss. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Join the discourse. We are using the ruptures in the PDP as a case study.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, that platform.
I appreciate you, Radio Man, for giving us comprehensive analysis. You see, we don't need to ceremonial ourselves in the platform because we are key on the call. So people are many. What are we saying? Ayanizikoluwafemi is my name. We country citizen, I as one of them, will always be victim of every dispensation of democracy we have. And this political office holder, they will always be the victor of the situation. Why? The country citizen, we are easy to bully, we are easy to intimidate, we are easy to kid, we are easy to cheat, despite of the instrument these people are holding. Religion, language, and political party. What are we saying this morning? Side attraction during electioneering. 4 years of Ankara. I keep on saying it. I'm not the fool of what I'm saying. The envelope of 5,000 naira, sachet of rice and indomie and etc., etc. So we are not getting our sense during electioneering. Where are we heading to? My brother, you see, the relative of my mother went to state honorable. He denied me. I also denied dispensation. He want to go for another year. I denied him back 50-50. I told him, my brother, I'm not going with you. He said, I should consider family. My mother called me that I should consider our family. I said, no, madam, I have to respect as my mother. But this time around, let family go on his way. Since he has denied us in that particular what he went for, I will retaliate back. You see, side attraction is fooling us as a matter of fact. So in a nutshell, we continue. Since we don't have our sense of intelligence during electioneering, we continue to be the victim. They will always be victor of the situation. My personal perspective, personal opinion. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma. Good morning, friends.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Prince Bumi Adevusi, calling from Abad.
The ball is in your court.
Yes, sir. I want to contribute to the ongoing programs. You see, every Nigerian don't understand how our leaders always play their rules. You know, politicians know when and how to get their own pay, to get their own share. And most of the time, these people knows how to answer political questions. Who gets what, when, and how. But when would the common citizens, or let me say citizens, know when to get their own share as well? They only have one power, which is their vote. And it is very unfortunate that the power they have is now being negotiated by the politicians. They sell their votes ignorantly, just for survival. What we are saying this morning is we are having leadership failure in Africa, most especially in Nigeria, because the way and manner we play politics in Nigeria, it is too alarming. And these people will continue to be in power because the citizens don't know their right. Even if citizens know their right, there is a system being organized by the politicians that will hinder the citizens not to speak in one accord. They are breaking them every time. You can imagine a Nigerian that cannot afford to buy 1 kg of gas will be supporting a government that is inflicting hardship on him because he belongs to the same ruling class. I pray that may God open the eyes of our leaders and the citizens as well to know what to do. That's my submission. Good morning.
Thank you. All right. We'll rest the calls for now. You know, I'm thinking, I was just having a quiet time yesterday, and I was thinking of vote buying and those who collect rice, Ankara. And I was saying, how do we convert that into strength? Because it's our reality. So how do we convert that reality into strength? I'm just thinking, I said, okay, what about if I decide to say that this 2027 election, Ankara is my strategy. That means I'm going to collect up to 50 Ankara. I was just thinking, collect the 50 Ankara. If I collect it, what will I do with it? Should I start an Ankara business? Or if I want to sell my vote, my child's school fees, I calculate it, house rent for a year, I calculate it. And somebody wants to buy my vote. I sum everything up. That is good business now. If I collect 10K and sell my vote, that means I'm very cheap. I'm looking at you placing a proper amount on your vote and then use it to get your share. I'm just thinking, I've not told you what to do. Why should you? Are you that cheap? You collect 10K for 4 years. If you want to be selling vote, why not have a strategy, a business for vote selling, where you sell it and sell it well? I've not said so. I've not told you to sell your vote. I'm just thinking of how you will get your share that is commensurate. You get it well and you set up yourself. Remember, I started by saying that social justice is about how economic goods and services are distributed to meet the competing desires and demands of the people. That is social justice. That is my definition. So if Sheyi now wants me, if Sheyi Makinde wants to buy my vote in the next election, how much should I sell to him? I'm still thinking, I know I'm not that cheap. Sell it, I'm saying, no, now I'll collect the money. Then when Sheyi cannot pay, when they discover they cannot pay, perhaps they will now sit down and say, no, this is not sustainable. Let's work. Perhaps because you are too cheap, that is why they are still be able to pay. Because how do you collect 10K for 4 years? Are you that cheap? You must be an Olodo to sell your vote 10K. Perhaps you should be collecting like 1 million. Especially for those in Bere who want to sell vote. Collect 1 million. Then if they collect 1 million. If they negotiate, you might beat it down to 950 or 960,000 so that you can establish business. Don't waste it or don't go and drink paraga with it. I'm thinking, I've not told you to sell it. I'm just thinking how you can survive. 10K is too small. I think up your game. There's inflation now. There's inflation. Are you not a business person? Are you not thinking like a businessman? There's inflation and you are still collecting 10K. So by the time you collect 1 million, they will run out of money. Don't you think so? And they will not sit up and say, no, this is not sustainable. It's because you are too cheap. You have collected your share, 10K. And you are coming to scream, Bimpamio. Don't come here, me. Don't come here, me, and say that. And if you don't want to sell the vote, see, vote is not your power. I hear people saying that vote is your power. It's not your power. How can you vote somebody that the person is not keeping to the deal and you are saying vote is your power? You've lost your power now. It's when you vote and defend it. That is when it becomes power. I hear people say vote is your power. Go and vote. Okay, you have voted him. How far? Now the one you voted 4 years ago, how far? It is when you are able to defend your votes. I voted you for this. You must give us this. And you insist. Collective insistence. I hear people say, okay, they have weapons, they have guns, they have this, they have that. Okay, now that they have guns, have they been able to deal with the terrorists in the bush? Sure, those ones have come up, and now we are all victims. But the political class must also understand that it gets to a point when the people cannot get their share. Some of the ones that are very angry will go and pick up gun to get their share. In that case, we all become the victims of the gunmen. But I've refused to be victims of gunmen. That is why, despite every troubles, sometimes I say, no, I must travel on this road. I must travel on this road. This bandit cannot drive me off the road. As I'm going, even when I have some trepidations inside me, I said, I'm moving on this road. How can one bandit from one area just come and chase me off the road? I won't be able to travel. I said, okay, let's go. And every day I'm thinking of how to protect myself. If it gets worse, we will protect ourselves. Because I must travel, I must move. One bandit cannot come from anywhere and stop me from moving. I will be careful, I will be cautious. But it becomes a war situation, I will move. You cannot keep me stranded. Because once I'm stranded in a country, I'm useless. So the state must take note. Those in leadership must take note. We are getting to that point where people will never seek for permission to defend themselves. For now, they are seeking permission. When it becomes totally an existential threat, everybody will defend themselves and the state becomes chaotic. We must not get to that point. We have already reached the point where people are selling their votes. That is a signal that something is about to happen. Where somebody just sells a vote to eat. It's not ignorance. It's survivor. At some point I was saying it's ignorance. It's a survivor. Somebody hasn't eaten for days and you are giving him 10K. I've made the point that the primary aim of man is to survive first. So the person collecting the 10K is survival. Somebody like me, I can say I'm not collecting the 10K. What is 10K? I'm far more than that. There's somebody that has not seen 10K since the beginning of the month. He hasn't seen 10K. And you not give him 10K on election day and he will collect. That means he wants to die of hunger. So look at it from the point of view of survival. So it gets to a point that person will pick up guns. Go and watch those who pick up guns. They are some of the poorest people. That is why you go to poor areas like ghettos. You see a lot of violence in ghetto. Because poverty means violence. So when you impoverish the people, you are telling them to pick up guns. That is why there is so much insecurity in Nigeria. And it's a function of the political system. I've not told you to sell your vote. But if you have decided to sell your vote, up your game. Up your game. Put strategy. Put strategy. So that person that comes to you that wants to buy a vote, that should tell you he's a bad person. Any person that wants to buy your vote is not a good man. That is the person is telling you have come to steal. That is why they are buying your vote. So if you have decided to sell your vote, it's a deal, man. Be ready. Collect something good. I have not told you to collect. I'm just thinking. Stop collecting peanuts if you are a collector. Okay? And those blaming those collecting, be careful. Because those at the top are negotiating. The pastors, imam, they are all getting their share. Now you are blaming the guy that is collecting 10K. Those at the top are getting their shares. There's a lot of deal going on. And that's why I'm raising the alarm here. You don't know what's going on. There's so much money. We are so rich. These guys have a lot of money. A lot of money that they did not work for. The money was grabbed from the system. A lot of money. They have houses in Dubai, London. Houses they don't even live in. And you cannot pay your rent. I'm not saying don't do PDP, APC, APM. But as you are doing it, be strategizing. Once you strategize, I strategize. We will now come to an equilibrium point. That's why we will build consensus. We will move on. I hope I've made my point. And I hope I've not confused you in any way. Let me be sure I've made my point, that somebody's not misinterpreting me. I just want to be sure that you have not misinterpreted me. So let me open the line and be sure you have not misinterpreted me. All right, the line is open now. You heard the sound. 080-999-18449. And make your calls brief and straight to the point. I won't give beyond 2 minutes now. So watch your phone as your phone is reading. Once you are 2 minutes, I'll cut you off. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Edmond.
Yes, good morning.
This is Akintala Biodun.
The ball is in your court.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you.
I've listened to you perfectly well. But my point is this. You know, when you are in a situation whereby one is experiencing monetary poverty, that one is even okay. But when it's evolved to intellectual poverty, that's where the problem lies. How do I mean? You realize the fact that when someone does not have money, like you said, I remember one of your program. In fact, I use it as your quotes. You've once said it that in a country whereby the citizens are struggling for survival, they will not have any form of initiative or means to initiate something, whether technologically or any means. Now, in regard to that, look at the people you are telling that they should collect their own shares during the election. Good and fine. All these politicians, they know something that is peculiar. They know they don't have that strength. That these people, if they should ask for their own share during this period, what will be their contribution? But unlike someone like all these NURTW, they know they can sacrifice for anything. So if such people ask for, okay, give us 1 million, they will definitely give it to such a people. Or like someone at Bere, they know the moment that one, this one is not ready to die. But those working at NURTW and all those other areas like that, there are some people they are ready to die. So those people, okay, let me give you an instance. We hear recently that the governor of the state actually demolished a particular NURTW member's house. I overheard that the person has gone to Abuja to meet the APC-led government, and they assured him that, you know what, work for us against the governor in the state. And peradventure, we are going to build another house for you. You know, such kind of a person, he will definitely give it all. Unlike someone in there. So I want you to reconcile that, please. Thank you and have a nice day.
You know, we are just thinking. This is thinking. We have not concluded yet. We are still philosophizing. It is philosophizing. Okay. You have a group of friends. I'm talking about young boys now and young girls. You have some of young girls, they have cliques. When we were growing up, we have cliques. I had my own clique in the university. Even after school, my clique, my friends. You know, some of us, those clique boys, you just sit down, you drink, you talk about ladies, you talk about business, money, how to make money, how to survive. Begin to convert those cliques into political groups. Form your own political group. Call it anything. Form your own political group, your clique. You know, then you become more powerful because you are now a unit. You can make demands. You can form a small association, open an Instagram page. It's not a party, it's a group. You are discussing politics and how to gain power. Be strategic. Don't just talk about it as argument. That is what I see. Argument in newspaper joint. Go back and sit down and strategize. John Oguchi. Okay, let's come. Let's sit down. Let's look at this election. How do we come in? How do we mobilize? You create your own system. Because you have created it, you are holding meetings. Politicians will come to you to negotiate. Then you put in your terms. You can say, this road in my area, will you construct it? They will say, yes, we'll see what we can do. Try and record it. Sign. Don't do business. Sign. That this is what you promised. You see, when Ajimobi was running for governor, I was living somewhere. I was living in Oluyole at the time. I was what's this road again? What's this road? Where Fulani has his house in Oluyole Estate. And I was looking at supporting Ajimobi. So that road was very bad. Whenever it rained, there are times I won't go home because the bridge will be overflooded. I'll be waiting for the erosion to subside before I would drive across the bridge. So when Ajimobi was contesting, and I was looking at supporting him, and when I met him, I said, will you construct Olusoji Bridge? Yes, that's the Olusoji. I said, will you construct Olusoji Bridge? He said, why? And I gave him an estimate of the population living around that area. At that point, it was a new area somewhat. I did a study and I did something like a graph when I was describing it to him and telling him why he should construct it. And why was I describing the numbers? Because I know he needed the number, that vote. So I needed to make it clear to him that number, that I can use my radio program to mobilize that number, but he must construct that bridge. He didn't say yes or no immediately. The second time I met him, I said, will you construct Olusoji Bridge? I kept insisting. And he saw that he said, okay, I will. Obilo, I will. I said, okay. He said, by my deal. After 4 months, I didn't go to meet him. Will you construct Olusoji? I didn't. I said, no. There are other pressing issues. Let him settle down. After about 8 years, when I went to interview him, before the interview started, I said, Olusoji Bridge, you have not constructed it. He said, I will. He constructed Olusoji Bridge. He did. And he constructed the road. He did. See, before Seyi Makinde became governor, I had opportunity to meet him privately. I said, will you deliver circular road? I asked him, I said, will you construct circular road? Because I felt Ibadan was becoming too tight. Let's open Ibadan. Sure, let's open up a new city, new areas, and then modernize those areas. Then move the population to those areas. They're beginning to renovate the old areas. We can build beautiful cities. He said, Edmond, I will construct circular road. That's what I wanted to hear. I needed a big project in Ibadan. Strike a deal. It is Splash 105.5 FM. Stay tuned. Stay cool.
So whatever I gave Bola Tinubu, I'm sure it's insignificant. He didn't need it. But it was a way of identifying with a man who has stood by us. And that is why when he now requested that he wanted Itola to be governor, honestly, I didn't just put my mouth in it. I put my body and I put my money in it. So the people now say, Adeyeye, who is he in Osun? Adeyeye was the only man who won election when every other man or woman in the AD, from governor to everybody, failed in the AD. I was the one man standing. 1 year later, they were going to tell me, well, you have to what? He didn't win in his own hometown. I could not win in my hometown. I always told people in my hometown that I know you will not vote for me, but it's the election I will win. Because when I was coming to this planet, God gave me an assurance that it doesn't matter what do people here do, I will always prevail. And why was this? My offense was that they had a tussle over some chieftaincy matters. And at that time, I was too leftist to care about chieftaincy matters. So since I didn't join them, when politics came, it was their time to extract their pound of flesh. But thank God, I won. And when they were trying to deride me, that he couldn't even win his answer. There are 30 local governments plus one. Mudeke being the extra one we call plus one in Osun. Shola Adeyeye myself. I was the only one in Osun who delivered his local government. Not Rahul did not deliver his own. Adiotu was chairman of the party, did not deliver his own. Afolabi was secretary of the party, did not deliver him. I, Shola Adeyeye, was the only one who delivered my local government in the election. Not just that. I was the only one who did not take a penny from Bola Tinubu or Rahul Farebeshola. I was in the House of Rep. Bola Tinubu and Rahul sent money from Lagos. And they gave to everybody. And they did not give to my federal constituency. They said, well, Prof has the money. So I had to bear the expenses of 3 local governments.
Senator Adeyeye, now, let's come to the crux of the matter.
Yes.
The 2023 presidential election.
Yeah.
The primaries of the All Progressives Congress is coming up soon.
Yes.
Going through a rejoinder that you wrote recently, you said, my basic thesis is that if the establishment does not want you, you can never win the presidency. Or why does he think there are pilgrimages to the hilltop mansion in Minna or Basanjo's abode in Abeokuta by all manner of people seeking the presidency? The point you are making here is that the class of 1966 is not ready to commit class suicide by supporting the presidential ambition of Bola Tinubu. Can you please explain?
I will explain. Every society has establishments that are dominant in the political and economic processes of that society. We have that same in Nigeria. When I say they are dominant, I do not want anybody to misunderstand me. I am not saying they are omnipotent. They are human. Sometimes they blunder. Sometimes they miss. Sometimes they fail. But most times they prevail. And I'll give you 2 examples of an establishment. One is in Osogbo. There is a man in Osogbo. His name is Tunde Badmus. I don't know if he belongs to any party. He's an active man. I'm sure he votes in every election. But I don't think he's a card-carrying member of any party. I don't care who you are in Osun. You must give attention to Tunde Badmus. You must give him his dues. And how did I know that? When we first formed our party, we went to Osogbo and we went to his house. As we got to his house, this man stood up, saw Chief Bisi Akande, and he prostrated. He said, Chief Akande, I'm begging you to forgive me. He said, Baba said, for what? What did you do against me? He said, Chief, you may not know it. It's in this room that we decided that you must be removed as governor of Osun. He said, 4 years later, I regretted it. And I was no longer able to remove the man that we brought in to remove you. And that man was Oyinola. Now, here was a man who never mounted rostrum. But here was a man whose influence was so powerful that he convoked a meeting in his house at which a decision was taken to remove a governor. And they succeeded. The details of that is not for this discussion. And there's another man like that in Abuja. Most people don't know him. I saw his name recently, that they gave a sum of 200 million naira to Governor Soludo of Anambra. His name is Ato Eze. Obviously a very wealthy man. Ato Eze is is a phenomenal influencer of process. When the tussle was going on between Lawan and Sharaki in the 8th Senate, plenty of money went to Sharaki's camp from Ataweze. Plenty of money went to Lawan from Ataweze. As we were living at Ataweze's house, I was in Lawan's house. I was in Lawan's camp. As we were living at Ataweze's house, a man called me. He said, "Look, I know you. I know you are a man who says the truth. He said, you people are just wasting your time." I said, "Why?" He said, "Sharaki is going to win." He said, "This morning you just got here." He said, "Sharaki got more than that." I shook my head. But that's the way it goes. Who would have known that a man who does not attend APC or PDP or any caucus of politics is such a financier of the process? So what I call the establishment is bigger than the class of 96. The establishment, if I could define it, is actually a confluence of military and civilian overlords who have established a structure of largesse, of reward, a structure by which they control the political and economic process. If you play with them, it's at your own peril. But they are not God. Sometimes they fail. Obasanjo wanted to have third term. Of course, it was creating a conflict within the class structure. He failed. The point is, they don't want Tinubu. But I'm not saying Tinubu cannot win against them. You have to bear in mind that it's one thing for Tinubu to win the nomination of my party. It's another thing to win the election. In fact, if they want to disgrace him, they can let him win the nomination of the party. Then they wait for him at the election. I was in the meeting where Bola was boasting one day about what he did to make sure that Jonathan became president. And he probably thought that some of us don't know all the stories. I've sat down with Ben Bruce Murray, and I've had different versions of that story. And the truth is, nobody should play God. Because if you play God, ultimately, the Muslims say Allahu Akbar. People will say God is great, God is greatest. If you know the meaning of Allahu Akbar, I'm not Muslim, but if you know the meaning of Allahu Akbar, what it means is that God is great in the absolute. He has no comparison. He's infinitely great, such that nobody plays him and get away with it.
So who is playing God here? Is it Tinubu?
All politicians tend to play God. Yes, Tinubu sometimes play God. And we saw it recently when he summoned, they had a meeting of APC stakeholders. At that meeting, he announced those who will get a ticket already, said the rest of you go and contest. And they asked people to ask questions. In the process, Obani Koro Musliu raised up his hand. He was summoned by the MC to come to the stage. Right there, Tinubu cut him short and disgraced him, took the microphone from him, and insisted that he should be walked out of the hall. Well, honestly, if I was Obani Koro, I would not have gone out. I would let him kill me publicly. I would let him shed my blood publicly. Obani Koro is from the establishment of Lagos. He's from royalty in Lagos. Obani Koro was commissioner. Obani Koro was senator. Obani Koro was ambassador. Obani Koro was minister. And you summon him publicly and you give him such a public disgrace? Worst of all, in the presence of his son. Abba. Anyway, so it's not Tinubu alone. All the Nigerian governors play God. I mean, even the way you see the way they run the states. And you know, I always laugh at them. One of the most brilliant men to ever become governors in Nigeria is Shekarau of Kano. He left the place. After he left, he couldn't do anything against Kwakwanso. Kwakwanso did his own. After he left, he couldn't do anything against Ganduje. Ganduje is living his own now. You will see by this time next year. The truth is, the power of man is temporary. It's ephemeral. Only God is God.
Now, Senator Adeyeye, who are these members of the establishment that don't want Tinubu to be president?
Listen. I'm not going to name any name. You are a journalist. You go and do it. Go and do your research. What I will tell you is this. One, the establishment comprises of one, class of 66. That is retired military generals. Two, some powerful traditional rulers. That's why Ganduje removed Sanusi. It won't be the first time that the king of Kano has been sent off the throne. Some traditional rulers, some politicians, some businessmen. Look, one of the ways in which parties in government are funded in Nigeria is by calling the governor of Central Bank to sell dollars at specific rates to specific businessmen at official rates. These businessmen will go and sell the dollars outside. For example, official rate is 414 or 415. As at this week, dollar has hit 608. So if you buy at 415 and you sell at 608, for every dollar you buy, you make a profit of 185 naira. So if you get thousands and thousands of dollars, you don't need to hold a fundraising. You simply go and do what is called round tripping. Who do you use for the round tripping? The biggest businessmen in the land. You won't see them. They are the ones who are involved. If you think they are not involved, you don't know what's going on.
And they don't want Tinubu?
Listen, what I have said. Because what happens is the reward system set by government such that the dukes and knights can live in opulence, where the citizenry at large lives as serfs, what we call Iwofa in Yoruba land. That's what they've reduced most of the citizens of Nigeria to. Our life has been sentenced to a life of subsistence. They know that in Lagos, Tinubu had his own system. And he holds it with a iron grip.
Iron grip?
Yes, he does. They know. And they're jealous of him. And they know that, look, if he do that in Lagos and they let him come and do it in Abuja, look, okay. Oshiomhole tried to remove Obaseki. Did he succeed? Of course he failed. Amosun did not support Abiodun. Did he succeed? Of course he failed. Rauf has been fighting Oyetola. Has he succeeded? Of course he hasn't. Rauf will tell me, you know I'm not fighting him. But the thing is, they're not the best of friends. Tinubu got rid of Ambode like a piece of chicken. It was easy. That's what you call iron grip. And in doing so, he sent a signal to everybody. All the governors went and begged him. They didn't prevail. The president, I'm told, I wasn't there, pleaded with him. They didn't prevail. So if he could do that while he's not president, do you think they would be happy to give the presidency to him? Because the Nigerian presidency is the most powerful in the world.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
Did you listen carefully to Professor Adie? Did you pick his words? Do you see how the political class operates? That is why I decided to bring you the interview. I had that interview with him before the 2023 elections. Did you see the picture he painted? That is how the political class operates. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I'm just thinking, I have not concluded. I'm thinking of opening a vote-selling business. It will be lucrative. Just register a company. What we'll be doing is selling votes, allocating votes. That means if you want to sell your vote, you can bring it to our company. Tell us how much you want to sell it, and we'll help you get customers that will pay you well. I'm thinking, I've not concluded, because a friend just sent me a message now that she's ready to sell her vote. So my friend, you know who I'm talking. You've not put the amount you want to sell your vote. So if you are ready to sell your vote, please, you can send a WhatsApp message to this. Tell me how much. Don't make it cheap. I don't deal with cheap people. I'm expensive, so make it expensive, okay? We don't deal with cheap clients. We want to deal with expensive clients. So, if you are ready to sell your vote, let me know, send me a WhatsApp message, how much you want to sell your vote, what you are expecting. Tell me what you are expecting. Give me a breakdown, so that let me know if I will be establish that business for vote selling. We need to go up. We need to do something abnormal to be able to fix this country. Something abnormal. I'm thinking of establishing a vote-selling business. I don't know if CAC will register that company. Somehow, I'm still thinking. So that you get value for your vote. I want you to get value, huge value for your vote, so that you become rich. Your children will be well fed. It might also be money. It might be his road around. Just send me a WhatsApp message. How much do you want to sell your vote? At one point, when Ajimobi and I fell out, there was one war between Ajimobi and I. It was when he was delaying constructing that bridge at Olusoji. There was this delay. Even at the point, because once they were constructing, I began to monitor. There was this delay in constructing. So I fired some shots through the media. And we fell out somehow. Because you have a deal with me. You need to construct that road. You must construct it. I'm not begging. You said you are going to construct the road. And I voted for Ajimobi, not Akala. And so in my own way, I supported him. So when he was delaying, I fired some shots using the media. I fired some shots to rattle him a bit. Say, guy, no. We have a deal. Construct Olusoji Road. The people were saying, Fulani is living there. Why can't Fulani? I said, no, I don't have a business with Fulani. Fulani is not the governor. Ajimobi was the governor. He was controlling the local government. It's a local government road. Since they've said local government will now have autonomy, so Ajimobi will construct it. And I fought back. He constructed it. I want you to listen to this interview. Listen to this interview before we go, to see how the political class operate. Listen again. Now, let's come to the crux of the matter.
Yes.
The 2023 presidential election.
Yeah.
The primaries of the All Progressives Congress is coming up soon.
Yes.
Going through a rejoinder that you wrote recently, you said, my basic thesis is that if the establishment does not want you, you can never win the presidency? Or why does he think there are pilgrimages to the hilltop mansion in Mina or Basanjo's abode in Abeokuta by all manner of people seeking the presidency? The point you are making here is that the class of 1966 is not ready to commit class suicide by supporting the presidential ambition of Bola Tinubu. Can you please explain?
I will explain. Every society has establishments that are dominant in the political and economic processes of that society. We have that same in Nigeria. When I say they are dominant, I do not want anybody to misunderstand me. I am not saying they are omnipotent. They are human. Sometimes they blunder. Sometimes they miss. Sometimes they fail. But most times they prevail. And I'll give you two examples of an establishment. One is in Osogbo. There is a man in Osogbo. His name is Tunde Badmus. I don't know if he belongs to any party. He's an active man. I'm sure he votes in every election. But I don't think he's a card-carrying member of any party. I don't care who you are in Osho. You must give attention to Tunde Badmus. You must give him his dues. And how did I know that? When we first formed this, our party, we went to Osogbo and we went to his house. As we got to his house, this man stood up, saw Chief Bisi Akande, and he prostrated. He said, Chief Akande, I'm begging you to forgive me. He said, Baba said, for what? What did you do against me? He said, Chief, you may not know it. It's in this room that we decided that you must be removed as governor of Osho. He said, 4 years later, I regretted it. And I was no longer able to remove the man that we brought in to remove you. And that man was Oyinola. Now, here was a man who never mounted rostrum. But here was a man whose influence was so powerful that they convoked a meeting in his house at which a decision was taken to remove a governor. And they succeeded. The details of that is not for this discussion. And there's another man like that in Abuja. Most people don't know him. I saw his name recently, that they gave a sum of 200 million naira to Governor Soludo of Anambra. His name is Ato Eze. Obviously a very wealthy man. Ato Eze is a phenomenal influencer of process. When the tussle was going on between Lawan and Sharaki in the 8th Senate, plenty of money went to Charaki's camp from Ato Eze. Plenty of money went to Lawan from Ato Eze. As we were leaving Ato Eze's house, I was in Lawan's house. I was in Lawan's camp. As we were leaving Ato Eze's house, a man called me. He said, look, I know you. I know you are a man who says the truth. He said, you people are just wasting your time. I said, why? He said, Sharaki is going to win. He said, this morning you just got here. He said Sharaki got more than that. I shook my head.
Did you hear that? Can you see the movement? I'm telling you what is going on. I'm going to bring you more strategy. These guys at the top have been over-dominating. We need to meet them at some point to form an equilibrium. Can you see the deal going on there? Saraki went to Auto Easy. He collected money. Adeyeye, they went. You see men who are strategizing. You are just sitting there. You are not strategizing. Are you a professor? Let's bring your knowledge. Let's monetize it. How can you be a professor? You are poor. Okay? More strategies will come. Okay, let's keep it at this. I have not told you to sell your vote, but I'm thinking of establishing a vote-selling company. I don't know what you are thinking. Next week is another time. The program is State Affairs. The next program is Gbangba Lashata with Abiodun Adewale. It is Splash 105.5 FM.